5 years. Can you believe it? 5 years since COVID really, turned everything upside down.
It's crazy to think back to those early days, everyone's scrambling to figure out what to do, how to stay safe.
I know, right? Like nobody had a playbook for this. All of a sudden the world's changed and we're all just trying to adapt on the fly.
And adapt we did. That's what's so fascinating looking back, isn't it? Like we learned so much about ourselves, about society, about how we handle these huge global challenges.
Yeah. There were definitely some dark times, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there was also this incredible resilience, this ingenuity that came shining through.
You sent over this really interesting piece that kind of reflects on those 5 years and all the lessons we learned. I mean, some of them are so basic. Like, who would thought that singing happy birthday twice while washing your hands would become like a global phenomenon?
Well, it kind of shows you the power of simple messaging, doesn't it? Like, in a crisis, you need clear, actionable guidelines, things that people can easily remember and do, right? And we saw that on a larger scale, too. Lockdowns, school closures, the strain on healthcare systems. It really hammered home the interconnectedness of everything,
Totally. Like, one thing goes wrong and it ripples out, impacting every aspect of life. We really saw how vulnerable our systems can be, especially healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. The pandemic really highlighted the incredible dedication and sacrifices of healthcare workers. I mean, they were on the front lines day in and day out facing incredible challenges.
Yeah, they were true heroes, no doubt.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those key takeaways from the pandemic. One that jumps out right away is the importance of hygiene, right? We all became way more aware of how germs spread, and hand washing became this essential ritual.
Right. And I mean, it wasn't just hand washing. Think about mask wearing, social distancing, all these things that, yeah, they were disruptive, but they really drove home how individual actions can impact public health.
So true. I mean, it was almost like a crash course in personal and collective responsibility,
Yeah. Exactly. But I think a big question now is how much of that will stick? Like, will we see a lasting shift in our hygiene habits?
I don't know. I mean, I still see people being more diligent about hand washing, but mask wearing, that seems to have really dropped off. Maybe it'll take another public health crisis for those habits to become truly ingrained.
Yeah, I think you might be right. It's like we learn these lessons, but whether they'll truly change our behavior in the long run, that's still up for debate.
Okay, another huge lesson that really resonated with me was the power of community resilience. I was so moved by those stories of people helping each other out, checking in on elderly neighbors, supporting local businesses that were struggling. It was really inspiring.
Yeah, totally. It was almost like in the face of this huge crisis, we saw this outpouring of kindness and solidarity. It really underlined how important those social connections are, especially when times get tough.
It was really a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's this innate human capacity for compassion, for resilience. And, one of the most interesting things to me is how the pandemic forced us to adapt, to innovate in ways we never imagined. Think about the shift to remote work, the explosion of online education, everyone becoming a Zoom expert practically overnight. It was a wild ride, but it also showed how adaptable we can be when we have to.
Yeah, we were basically thrown into the deep end and we had to figure out how to swim. And for the most part, we did, right? It really highlighted our capacity for innovation and flexibility.
Right. But, it's not all sunshine and roses. I've been reading about how remote work can actually be really isolating for some people, and it can make it harder to build those strong team dynamics that you need to be productive.
That's a valid point. It's like any big change comes with trade-offs, right? Remote work has its benefits, but it's not this perfect solution for everyone.
And that's what's so interesting, figuring out which of these changes will stick around, which ones will fade away. Is remote work here to stay, or will we see a big return to the office? I don't think we have all the answers yet.
Totally agree. It's like a giant social experiment, and we're all part of it. The next few years will be fascinating to watch as things continue to evolve.
Okay, and finally, we can't forget about the absolutely incredible scientific achievement of developing vaccines in record time. That was huge. It really showed what's possible when there's collaboration and investment in scientific research.
No doubt. The rapid development and deployment of vaccines was a game changer, literally. It really drove home the importance of supporting scientific research, not just during pandemics, but all the time.
Absolutely. So here we are, 5 years on. It's been a journey, hasn't it? And those lessons, hygiene, community, adaptability, the power of science, they feel more relevant than ever.
They really do. The pandemic may be behind us, but its impact, the things we learned, they're going to shape our world for years to come. I think the big question now is how will we use those lessons to build a better, more resilient future?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. Something to ponder, right?
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a fascinating conversation.